Hello, and welcome to Day by Day True Crime Stories, the podcast where we explore a different crime or justice milestone from this day in history. I'm your host, Kona Gallagher, and today is November 10th. On this day in 2014, an experienced Las Vegas hiker named Kenny Veach set out alone into the Nevada desert and vanished. What began as an ordinary solo hike would grow into one of the most discussed disappearances in modern internet folklore. Over time, his story became tangled up with conspiracy theories, strange cave stories, and speculation about military land. But at the end of the day, the story of Kenny Veach is heartbreakingly simple. A man who loved the desert, went exploring, and never came home. Today, we're talking about the unsolved disappearance of Kenny Veach. Let's get started. By 2014, 47-year-old Kenny Veach was known locally as a seasoned hiker and explorer. He was the kind of person who would head off alone into places that most people would never go. Old mining roads, narrow canyons, and endless stretches of high desert. He also shared those experiences online, posting under the handle Snakebit McGee on YouTube. His videos were short and unpolished. He filmed his treks with a handheld camera and narrated as he went. In October 2014, Kenny posted what would become his most infamous upload, a clip from a hike near the Sheep Mountains north of Las Vegas. In it, he described finding an M-shaped cave and feeling an intense vibration when he approached it, something that made him back away. He ended the video by saying that he wanted to return one day and explore further. It was an offhand moment, but that single comment about a cave would later take on a life of its own. What's certain is that Kenny wasn't reckless or unprepared. He had spent years hiking Nevada's backcountry, often alone and often for long stretches. Friends and family later told local media that this kind of trip was routine for him. He loved the long days. He would go out with minimal gear and just revel in the isolation. According to the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department's records, Kenny was last seen on November 10th, 2014 at a movie theater in Las Vegas. That same day, he called his girlfriend to say he was headed out for an overnight hike and would be camping. That call was the last time anyone ever heard from him. The area he was headed toward, the Sheep Mountains, sits on the edge of the Nevada Test and Training Range, a remote region with rugged topography. There are few trails, fewer landmarks, and in November, the temperature drops fast after sunset. But again, this was the type of hike that Kenny had done countless times before. It's what he loved. So that night, Kenny drove out alone and began his hike. But this time, he never came back. When days passed with no word from him, Kenny's girlfriend grew alarmed. He was usually prompt about checking in, especially if a hike went long. When he didn't return to his home or contact anyone, she filed a missing persons report. By the week of November 17th, search teams were mobilizing. Crews from Red Rock Search and Rescue and local volunteers began combing the Sheep Mountains. For more than a week, they searched on foot, on horseback, and by helicopter. The terrain was so unforgiving that even experienced hikers described it as brutal. But despite the intensity of the effort, no one found any trace of Kenny. Not his backpack, not his campsite, or even his vehicle. Then, almost 2 weeks after he set out, searchers made a discovery. On November 22, 2014, Red Rock Search and Rescue teams found Kenny's cell phone. It was lying near the edge of a deep, vertical mine shaft in the Sheep Mountains. It was a site locals knew from old maps and hiker reports. They also located his car at the trailhead. According to News 3 Las Vegas, Search Commander Dave Cummings confirmed the discovery that day. He told reporters that his team had tracked Kenny's path through the mountains and found the phone, quote, close to a very vertical old mine shaft, end quote. Cummings made it clear that the find didn't necessarily mean that Kenny had fallen inside. The shaft was dangerous and partially collapsed, but there was no direct evidence that he was down there. What it did mean, though, was that the trail, both physical and digital, ended right there. Searchers returned to the area repeatedly, bringing in mine experts and specialized equipment. They looked down the shafts, swept surrounding canyons, and rechecked the ridgelines. But nothing else surfaced. No remains, no gear, no tracks. Just the phone, sitting silently in the sand. In the years since his disappearance, Kenny's story has been absorbed by internet culture. Online, people have linked his disappearance to the M cave he once mentioned, spinning elaborate theories about hidden tunnels, military secrets, or paranormal events. But what really happened, of course, remains uncertain. The region's terrain is punishing, with steep drop-offs and unstable ground. The temperature swings are extreme, and even the most experienced hikers have been lost to the desert. Kenny's disappearance isn't proof of something supernatural. It's proof of how easily a person can vanish in a landscape that's built to erase footprints. Now, over a decade later, his case remains open. His name still appears on the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department's cold case list. Searchers still remember the operation, and hikers still mention his name when they talk about the dangers of venturing too far alone. Online, his story has become legend. It's been retold, embellished, and debated endlessly. But for his loved ones, it was never about mystery or myth. It was about a person. A man who loved the solitude of Nevada's backcountry, who wanted to explore one more ridge, and who vanished on a cold November night. Kenny Veach's story is often treated as an unsolved riddle, but for the people who knew him, it's a reminder of how quickly the wilderness can turn on even the most experienced traveler. Thank you for joining me on today's episode of Day by Day True Crime Stories. If you found Kenny's story compelling, please subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. It'll help us grow. And be sure to join me again tomorrow as we explore another significant event in true crime history. Until then, stay safe, and remember that behind every headline is a life worth remembering. Day by Day True Crime Stories is a Little Monster production.
Hey, you can do it!